June 14th, 2016 happens to be a very special date as it is an election date in the county of Williamsburg. My name is Solandia Hammond, also known as Sueham Baby, and just recently I had an opportunity to sit down and speak with the candidate for sheriff, Mr. Stephen Gardner, live on the Sueham Show. Had an opportunity to ask him some very important questions, ask him why he's running, what he plans to do if elected to the office of sheriff, and the controversy that's surrounding this election. Stay tuned. We're going to answer all of your questions up next on the Sueham Show. I have a guest that's sitting beside me that I have known now for 20 plus years. He's a good friend of mine, former state trooper, and a candidate for Williamsburg County Sheriff. You guys help me welcome to the show none other than Mr. Stephen Gardner.
How you doing, Sue?
I am great, man. How are you?
Doing good.
I know you've been all over the county and campaigning and whatnot. A lot of people know you, but there are still some people who may not know you. Right. So I wanted to take this opportunity to invite you to the show and for you to just share who Stephen Gardner is. So, tell the people who you are.
I'm Stephen Gardner, a native of King Street. This is my home. This is where I grew up and was raised. I attended King Street Senior High School, and that's where I graduated from. I went on and furthered my studies at Limestone College, where I graduated as well. With a bachelor's in business administration and management, I furthered my education at Troy State University, where I graduated with a master's in science and management. Law enforcement is something that I've always wanted to do. I came in at an early age. I was a dispatcher at the King Street Police Department. Wow. And upon getting to the age of 21, where I could officially be a law enforcement officer, I decided after that to pursue a career in law enforcement and became a South Carolina State Trooper. And today I found myself as a candidate for sheriff, wanting to give back to my community.
Wow, Steve, I have known you for 20 plus years. I didn't know you had a master's, man.
I do.
That's what's up. Well, listen, in our talking, I said, Steve, you got to come on my show. And you agreed. And I told you, I like to address rumors.
Correct.
And I want to know, why are you now running for Williamsburg County Sheriff? Can you just go in to tell us a little bit about that?
Certainly. I've always wanted to be active part of my community. And 2 years back, the sheriff's position was vacated by a prior sheriff, and the opportunity existed for someone to run for sheriff. At that time, the current sheriff, he and I had a talk, and he agreed that he wanted to finish 2 years in that vacated position. And upon those 2 years expiring, at that point in time, I would run for sheriff. Well, at that time, I was working for the South Carolina Highway Patrol, and I was an assistant post commander. I was in line to be promoted to post commander, but I did agree to come back and help the current sheriff in the capacity as chief deputy. And so I forego getting promoted to post commander to come back and help the current sheriff at the sheriff's office to work on inlining the organizational chart and things of that nature, and working on different things with the community and different methods of improving law enforcement efforts for the sheriff's office. And the reason that I undertook this is because this is something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a part of actively giving back to the community that raised me to be the person that I was. And I think there's a big need to have input in law enforcement for someone that was born and raised here, that actually cares and understands the groundwork here, for that person to come back and give back to the community.
Thank you for addressing that, because the rumor is out there that the current sheriff was supposed to just step down after 2 years and then support you in running, and now we find that the current sheriff is your opposition. So thank you for being truthful about that, because one of the things I like to do is be very transparent on this show and address what's true and what's not true, so we can lay the rumors to rest. So there you have it. Okay. Now, Steve, I came up with some great questions here for you. And one of the questions I wanted to know is, what are some of the qualities that will make you a good sheriff? I know you kind of encompassed that with the former question right there, but just a little bit more, what will make you a great sheriff? One of the words I continue to hear you say, which resonated with me, is help, help, help. And here in Williamsburg County, many of the residents do not feel helped. So is that one of the many qualities that you do possess, is to help people?
It is. The position of sheriff is one where you occupy the highest law enforcement position held in the county. And I think that person has to be someone that wants to give back in the capacity of understanding people, because the position of being the sheriff, the power that's entrusted into you is a power that belongs to the people.
Right.
So in order to understand that in full spectrum, you have to believe in the people and believe in the community and believe in working to accomplish that mission. And the biggest part of that is that you have to be willing to help others. Law enforcement has a lot of tasks before it to be done, but at the end of the day, you have to be an open-minded person and willing to go out and help others, and you have to have integrity in what you do, and you have to be a very humble person.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sorry. We're out here in nature, guys, in the open, okay? So when you see me fanning the little bugs, hey, it's nature.
That's right.
But you know, you said about being helpful, and I think in integrity, that's important. That's right. Steve, like I said, I've known you 20-something years, and you've always been an upstanding guy. Right. No drama. Right. Just have integrity, possess it, and utilize it, and just been very, very helpful. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this interview, to publicly tell people that I 100% endorse your candidacy for Williamsburg County Sheriff. Now, I need you to tell them why they should choose you over the current sheriff.
Okay. I don't. As a candidate for sheriff, I do not present myself to say negative things about anybody else or about the current sheriff that occupies that position. But I think I'm a young man that has continued my education to better prepare myself. So I've showed commitment in preparing myself to become a better leader. You know, there's a difference between leaders and managers. A lot of times you can occupy positions as a manager, and in essence, you just perform the tasks that are given to you at hand for that position. But in leadership, you're a person, or being a leader, I should say, you're a person that you want to instill and better others so that everyone learns to be a leader, so that the people working with you become better leaders. And I think at the end of the day, the success strategies of the sheriff's office for us to be a part of the community and be a big success at achieving our goals and missions is that we have to empower all people at all levels in the sheriff's department to become leaders, so that we all give our best, regardless of what effort it may be, that we go out and we tackle the missions that we're given. And I think we'll accomplish our biggest success. So I think I have the ability to lead the sheriff's office in the right direction. I think I've shown commitment to that. In the short period of time that I was at the sheriff's office, we started a lot of things that were very, very great under my tenure as chief deputy. There are several things that I'd like to continue along the lines of leadership that only prepare us to be more efficient at what we do as law enforcement officers. So I think that I possess those qualities of leadership, or that a leader should have. And I think that I would be an ideal candidate for sheriff, an ideal person for that position.
You said so many things that I could tackle, but we only have so many minutes for this show. But one of the biggest things I heard you say was about empowering other leaders at every level. That's right. And that is so important. And I just came back from their leadership training, and that was one of the greatest thing that they taught me, is that as a leader, the way to be the best leader that you can be is to trust the people that work with you and empower them to do what they need to do. Right. So you're right on about that. Now tell me, what does your slogan, Bridging the Gap, mean?
Well, I think one of the things sometimes in law enforcement, a lot of times we can feel that we don't have to be a part of the community, or we don't have to be a part of government, because sometimes the power entrusted into us as, you know, as a sheriff or as a sheriff would have, so we don't have to come to answer to anybody. And I think that's quite the opposite, and I'm not here to offer that the current sheriff does not do that. But I think one of the biggest gains that you can have is when you come to the table and you're willing to deal with your government and elected officials, when you're willing to deal with the community. And when I say community, I mean you're dealing with your schools, your young people, your older people.
Love it, love it.
Because those are your success factors. At the end of the day in law enforcement, we can go after different missions, but we're not going to achieve success unless we bring everybody to the table. But we have to be humble in wanting those people to come and participate in the efforts of what we do in order for us all to gain as a whole. You never will get buy-in necessarily from everybody, but the biggest thing is that everybody has stake in what we do as law enforcement officers. It's not just the law enforcement officer and in the community. We all have stake in what we do together. So in order for us to reap the benefits of that fully, we have to work together as a team.
Oh, I love that. I love that, especially in light of what's been going on in the world with law enforcement in the communities. And just to hear somebody, to be seated beside somebody that I know means what he says and will actually do what he says, it means a lot to me, because we do need to bridge the gap. You know, our county, Williamsburg County, as I've stated on a lot of my videos, is the poorest county in the state of South Carolina, and I think that has to do a lot with leadership. Because again, as leaders, when you empower everybody in every position,
Right.
people will tend to rise up and be who they're supposed to be. And so therefore we can change that status of being the poorest county as far as in education or as far as in revenue. So I love that. I love that. So how would you address the current issues involving law enforcement officers today? I mean, that kind of leads into the next question.
All right. I think in law enforcement today we're faced with several issues. One is trust, and that's something that you got to earn. You know, trust is not something very easily given, and again that goes back to what we talked about with leadership. You know, once you train people to be leaders, you have to build them to learn to trust each other, to trust people, and so in doing that we gain trust. But with so many different issues going on as far as mass incidents occurring with the police being involved, we have to gain that trust because somewhat that trust factor has been tilted a little bit because of the things that law enforcement has been involved. And so I think that the more we make ourselves transparent as law enforcement agencies, meaning that we have our IA divisions, which are internal affair units, which is something that we did start at the sheriff's office
Awesome.
while I was there, because we have to be able to answer to the public. It's not acceptable when someone complains to say, well, I handled that complaint.
Right.
At the end of the day, we need to be able to say we thoroughly investigated that complaint and we went through the proper channels and procedures and followed our policy to deal with those issues, because sometimes it's not always where the person is wrong, it's not always where the law enforcement officer may be totally wrong. But at the end of the day, there are experiences to be learned from things that happen that make us better at dealing with situations that may arise. So I think we've got to be more transparent in the day and time, because it's just law enforcement has called and the community has called for us to exist in that manner so that they will again have trust in what we do as law enforcement officers.
Man, you know, I'm sitting here and I got goosebumps because I totally feel your authenticity.
Right.
I totally feel your heart. I totally feel, you know, your vision. I see your vision and what you want. And I think it's high time that we have someone in office who feels passionately about invoking change that benefits the masses. Because, you know, so many times we get so many politicians that will come in and say they're going to do this, and that, and they have no history. And when they get in office, they still don't leave a great history. But I know that with you, you've done great things and you're going to continue to do great things,
Right.
whether in this office or not. However, you will better serve us
Yes,
in the office of sheriff. Now, I got two more questions and I'm going to let you go.
All right.
I know you got to get back to the campaign trail.
All right.
But this kind of leads into my next question. As a leader, what qualities do you think a leader should have as far as, you know, to help Williamsburg County get to that next level?
I think leaders need to be humble people. They need to be people that are willing to help others and have integrity. And there's several words that we could use to describe leaders. But at the end of the day, it's like I said earlier, to be a good leader, some leaders are born and some leaders can be trained.
Wow.
I'm of the auspice that we can train people to become better leaders. Everyone will not reach that same capacity. But at the end of the day, I think leadership starts at all levels in the organization. And if you're very humble, if you possess integrity in what you do, if you're willing to help others and you trust people and others, you will be fine. I think at the end of the day, as a team, people that possess those qualities, you will have a team of good leaders. And that's what I would like to bring to the Williamsburg County Sheriff's Office.
Wow. You know, this whole conversation, this whole interview, I've heard helpful. I've heard integrity. I've heard empowering. I've heard being responsible. I've heard education. I've heard unity. I've heard uplifting and rising. So, I mean, that's what we need.
Right.
That's what we need to be about. That's what's, you know, natural. And I think that you are the man for the job. But we've got, I think, about 2 more minutes. And so what I want to do, Steve, is I want to allow you a chance to look into that camera right there and to tell the viewers maybe something that they need to know about you that they don't know, or why they should put a check in the box for you on June 14th for this upcoming election.
Well, Steve Gardner is a person that has started a law enforcement career relatively young. Been through many experiences. Started off with one perception of law enforcement and what the job entailed, only to mature and learn that law enforcement is a job about making a difference and being a big part of your community so that you can help all people achieve success, from the young to the old. And I think that I've showed that in my interactions with people of my community by becoming involved. I'm involved in my local fraternity where we do things such as give a scholarship, where we participate in community events. I've also been very active in the 4-H event, part of the CAST Coalition, which is a group that deals with drinking and driving in Williamsburg County. I think that I put myself in the right places to give back to my community and be an active part of my community. As a law enforcement officer serving Williamsburg County in the capacity of a police officer or as a trooper or as a deputy sheriff, I, without hesitation, was very willing to help people, whether that may be from changing a tire or whether that may be from going and helping someone move furniture during the flood when we had the Carolina flood here in 2015. But I think it's someone like Steve, someone that has a big heart, someone that's willing to help others, someone that has compassion and someone that has integrity, and someone who wants to be a person to serve and protect his community, someone that wants to empower people. I think that's who Steve is. That's the person that Steve has always identified himself to be, and truly the best candidate to vote for on June the 14th, Stephen Gardner. For Williamsburg County Sheriff.
Yes, 100%. Look at the goosebumps again. Absolutely, guys. So, Steve, thank you so much, man, for being on the show. Absolutely. When you're in office, you'll come back and do another interview?
I certainly will.
Okay. So, guys, you have been watching the sueham show. We're encouraging you to go out and cast your vote, regardless of what you may think. Your vote does matter. Today we have a young man who's willing, capable, and able, who is willing to help us to rise to where we need to be. But in order for that to happen, it takes you going in and putting a check in the box on June 14th for Mr. Stephen Gardner as our next sheriff of Williamsburg County. Until next time, guys, you already know, I'm encouraging you to live, love, learn, and laugh. Don't quit. Follow your dreams to success. And next time you see me, we'll be welcoming our new sheriff in.
That's right.
See you guys on the next episode. June 14th, Election Day in Williamsburg County. It's your opportunity to vote. And when you vote, ensure you elect Stephen Gardner as Williamsburg County Sheriff.